It must be a lot of pressure taking on a character like Steve Jobs and wanting to, quote unquote, get it right. As a writer, as almost an artist too, what does getting it right look like?
There's a difference between what you do, journalism, and what I do. My obligation is to create something subjective, while yours obviously is to be objective. So if you're writing about real people, obviously you can't make things up. And if there was something I knew to be true that would be damaging, say, to Steve's widow, Laureen, or to Steve's children, I wouldn't do that. I'm not looking to hurt anybody. So I want to get it right in that sense. You take a Hippocratic oath and say, first do no harm. But there is a difference between a photograph and a painting, and this is a painting.
You have these really touching moments in the film, and then you also have these moments where Steve Jobs comes off as really unkind. Were you worried about the portrayal?
No, I went with the information that I had. Walter Isaacson's book, biography, wasn't just authorized, it was requested. Steve gave him complete access. He was given instructions by both Steve and Laureen not to whitewash anything, not to pull any punches. And between the book and the sort of the first person research that I did, there's no question but that he was a difficult and complicated man with a temper who would express his displeasure in ways that weren't always comfortable for the people he worked with.
I can only imagine all the time you spent trying to get into his head. What did you learn about the real Steve Jobs by trying to create this character of Steve Jobs?
I think the biggest thing I learned about Steve Jobs is that I'm never going to know who Steve Jobs is. He's just much too complicated. And so I just knew pretty early on that there was no point in trying to write the Steve Jobs story, in trying to write a biopic, and trying to get all of him into a 2-hour movie. So this movie has a much narrower lens, and as a result, I think it's pretty exciting.
I'm just interested. I've covered tech for years, and it really certainly didn't seem like Hollywood cared about technology when I started covering it back in like 2009. There seems to be this fascination with Silicon Valley, Hollywood's fascination with Silicon Valley. Why is that happening now?
Because that's where the stories are, big stories. Some of these companies, whether it's Apple or Google or Yahoo, are as big, if not bigger, than governments. So we want to tell those stories. Any
other tech figure you're interested in potentially, giving the Sorkin treatment and turning into a Hollywood blockbuster? Any hints you can give us?
The Sorkin treatment, I think 100 tech figures just dove under their beds, but I'm not really a tech guy. I think it's really more of a coincidence that I've written 2 movies about tech titans. It's really more the human stories that I was interested in than the machinery and the technology.